Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I will be your presenter here for the next 20 minutes. Today we are going to be talking about the Browse Donations window and how to use the different filters that are available in the Browse Donations window to look for certain things, pull out typical information that you're going to need for reports, or focus in on certain people or transactions or gifts to a particular account. So we're going to go over how to manipulate that browse screen to help make things a little bit easier. I am the only tech in here today, so if you have questions, please feel free to type those into the questions section on your GoToWebinar toolbar. Just keep in mind, I'm not going to look at them until the end, because if I'm trying to present and read a question, I get myself all twisted around. So I actually have it closed up. I won't see the questions until after I'm done presenting, but then I am more than happy to get those questions answered. So you can type them in while we're going along, or you can wait till the end. It's up to you, but I'm happy to go over those after. So today's topic is specifically from the Donations 104 workbook. It's pages 22 through 32. So if you have our workbook and want to follow along, that's where you're going to find the information. I do want to point out as well, on our website at churchwindows.com, you can go under our training workbooks and you can purchase workbooks. We have lots of different topics. Each workbook is broken down into separate sections, and then there's a little blurb here about what is covered within that workbook. So the donations ones are down here. Here's the Donations 104 one that we're going to be using today. You can download it, or you can get a pre-printed binder-ready copy that we email, or that we actually mail to you, that you can use for this topic. As always, it's being recorded. I will edit it, clean it up, and get it on the website before I leave today at 5, so you can rewatch it, or you can share it with someone who you think this information might be beneficial for them. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up donations here. And like I said, we're going to be focusing on browse donations. So there's another webinar coming up this month that is going to talk in more detail about correcting or reversing donations in browse. But I wanted to do this one first, and that it'll show you how to manipulate and use this screen to really help you look for things. Okay, so if you want to learn about the correct or the reverse, which we won't be talking about today, but if you want help on that, join us at our next one. I believe it's next week, and we'll go into more information about that. Okay, and that's on our website. Feel free to sign up for that. So let me hit this button up here at the top. This is the Change Dates, Filter, and Sort button. This is the browser options. This is what we're going to be focusing on today. So when you come into Browse Donations, the screen is going to default to show you all of your giving that you have for the current period, okay, for the year. The screen is going to be organized by giver. There is a search box here you can use if you want to look for someone quickly. But if you have more detailed searching that you need to do, that's where this Change Date, Filter, and Sort button is really, really going to be beneficial. Okay, so basically today I'm going to talk through each tab and the options of each tab and how you can manipulate them. So bottom of page 22, this is the Filter tab. This is the first tab that you're going to see when the Donations Browser Options window opens. You can easily come in here and you can pick a giver. If you have a certain person whose donations you're needing to reference or look up or print off, you can easily come into this giver box and you can type in the name of the person, or you can type in their number, whichever is easiest to get you to them. First name, last name, or both will work in finding the person. This inactive box is going to be checked, and that just means when you search for someone, you're going to get inactive people in the search as well. They're going to show up in red. If you don't want to see those inactive people, simply uncheck that box and they'll be excluded from this search. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put Nina in. We're going to be using her today for a lot of examples. My date occurred, like I said, is defaulted to the whole year, and I'm just going to hit OK. My browse donation screen is then going to change, and it's only going to show me those gifts that Nina has given so far this year. Okay. Now if I go back into change dates, filter, and sort, and I clear my filter out as if I was coming in for the first time, you can see this pledge Dropbox is grayed out, okay? This pledge Dropbox is not going to become active until you select a giver. As soon as you pick a person, then you can use this pledge box to decide what pledge for this giver we want to view. So if we want to see all of the gifts Nina has given to her general fund pledge this year, we could simply pick that pledge account, say OK, and then our results are going to shift again and show us just the donations that are credited to her pledge. All right. So if somebody comes to you and says, hey, how am I doing on my pledge so far this year? That would be a great way to figure out what they've paid so far. And also down at the bottom of your amount column, you have a grand total. Okay. Let's go back into change dates, filter, and sort. Let's talk about account. Pretty straightforward here, folks. If you want to see all of the giving that has come into a particular account, simply hit the down arrow, choose the account, click OK, and now we see all of the gifts that came in to that specific account that we selected. All right. Let's clear the filter and go back in. Let's talk about check and reference number. If you have a specific check or reference number that you need to check on, you can simply type the number in and say OK, and then it's going to pull up that specific check number. So if someone comes to you with a check number and says, hey, I need information about this, you can simply type in that number, and then it will go right to the transaction that includes that check number. User. If you have users that are set up within Church Windows, everyone has their own unique login, you can use this user field to search for the transactions a specific user has created. So for example, I'm Rachel Klein. I work at your church, and you want to see everything that I have done within Browse Donations. You would type my full name in the user field as it appears in Security in Church Windows, okay? So you would type in Rachel Klein, as it appears in Security, it has to be a match, and then you would hit OK. All of my transactions that that specific user did in Church Windows would show up. All right. This is training data, so we don't have specific logins, but that is how that field works. Also, you have a batch code option. Batch codes are not required. If you have two services, like this example here, an early service and a late service. And when you post your donations, you keep them separate by batch code, meaning everything that came in at 9 you enter and you post with the early batch code. Everything that came in at your 10:30 service, you enter separately, post that with a corresponding batch code. Those batches will be separate even though they fall on the same day. If you are wanting to see transactions that only make up a specific batch code, you can select that batch code, hit OK, and only the transactions that are part of your late service will appear. All right. Over here on the top right, you have a giver number range. If you are wanting to see all of your giving that came in for giver numbers 1 through 50, maybe you do children's envelopes that are 100 to 150, you could easily put that giver number range in here, say OK, and if we reference the giver numbers across here on the left, you can see that we're only going to 50. Date occurred and date posted. Whoops. Wrong button. Date occurred and date posted. These are two different fields, okay? Date occurred, that's going to be the donation date that was used when you posted the batch. Date posted is going to be the date that you actually sat at the computer and posted something. So for example, if you post all of your donations on Monday morning when you come in, your date posted is going to be a date after your date occurred, because your date occurred is going to be that Sunday, okay? So if you're ever looking for something and you say, I know I posted this batch, but why can't I see it? You could always query in on the date posted of the day you sat at the machine and looked for, or then you posted it, and then that will allow you to look for those corresponding transactions, okay? Transaction number, pretty straightforward. Anytime a donation is posted in Church Windows, it gets a unique transaction number here. And if we go back down to Nina, we can see she has multiple transaction numbers here. So if we want to go in and look at a specific donation, we could come in here and we could type in transaction number 2264, and you can do a range. We're just going to do the same one. We're going to say okay. Let me clear my giver number range here. And then it's only going to pull up that transaction, okay? Another quick way to find something. All right, so back here in our browser options, you also have an amount field. If you want to see who gave a gift of $500 to $1,000, you could put that range in here, say okay, and then it's quickly going to show you those givers who made a donation that fits in the range that you put. So it looks like we have 4 gifts here totaling $2,000 that were between $500 and $1,000 donations. All right, let's talk about down here, payment methods. If you want to focus in on payments methods that are only of a particular kind, you can easily do that. Say you want to get an idea of who's doing credit card, debit card gifts. You could uncheck all of those and then just leave those options available, okay? Show reversed. This is a way for you to see those transactions that were put in but have been removed or adjusted. So anything in red means that it was either reversed or corrected. So this allows you to see changes that were made to people's information. Let me clear my filter here. All right, down at the bottom, show subtotals and suppress repeating transaction data. This has to do with when you go to print something. Okay, so I'm going to leave these 2 checked, and I'm going to say okay, and then I'm going to hit my print donations button up here at the top, and it's going to print everything right now that I have in Browse because I don't have any filters set. So it's going to be a pretty big report probably. But as you can see, if I leave that subtotals box checked, it's then going to give me a subtotal per each transaction. Okay, so this is helpful if someone has more than one line item when they make a donation, like down here under Chris Day. You can see that the information is then subtotaled with a line. You can remove that if you want to. There's also a suppress repeating transactions data that will, if it sees the same information, it will actually scrunch it down so it only prints up at the top. So let me go ahead and close this. And we are going to remove these check marks just so you can get an idea of how different the report will look. So we've removed our subtotals, so it's no longer doing that. But if we look over here, you can see that now the giving account is repeated multiple times because we removed the suppress repeating transaction data. Okay. Let me close this. Let's go back in here again. Check mark down here, save as default. If you come in here and set particular things up that you want to see it that way when you open the Browse donation screen, you can check the Save Selections as default. This is specific to each user that works in donations. So you could have your Browse donation screen set up differently than someone else does that works in donations. But once you get things set up the way you want it, check the Save Selections as default. Program will remember it for you in the future. Okay. Always open to the screen. If you check that box, that means every time you open up Browse Donations, the browser option window will open. You also have a clear filter here. If you put any information in here and you want to go back to your default, you hit that clear filter and all of these boxes will then clear out and allow you to put new information in. All right, let's talk about Group and Sort tab. This tab is really, really handy for anywhere it's available within our reports. I would say always reference this because you can really customize your reports using this. So right now, sort field 1 is giver, sort field 2 is donation date. So if we leave that group and sort as is, you can see our first layer of sorting is our giver, and then within that, it's organized by your donation date, which you can see here. Now, if we go back in here and we change our group and sort, say we want our group sort field 1 to be organized by account. If I change sort field 1 to account and I say okay, it's going to rebuild my screen, and now it's going to have everything grouped together by the giving account. And then when I expand, it's organized in donation date. Okay. Say we want to customize this a little bit further. Let's do sort field 1 account, sort field 2 I want giver. And I want it also grouped by that field. So if I say okay, I come back in here. Now when I expand, my first sort or my first grouping is account. Then within that, I see all of my givers, and then I see the givers transaction to, or gifts I should say, to the general fund account. Okay. Another handy feature is this Dropbox here. A lot of people don't know what this is used for. You can quickly change your group and sorting by dragging these around. Okay. So by default, the screen's organized by giver, but let's say then we want to group it by account. You can quickly grab and move up the different groupings that you're looking for. Okay. So that is the group and sort tab. Really handy tool there. Let me come down here and restore our default layout. Next, let's talk about the columns tab. Columns tab, these fields that you see listed across the top here, these are the fields that are going to be visible here on the columns tab. Okay, so where it says transaction number, account, donation date, amount, so forth, that is the order of the columns that you see across the top here when you're viewing browse donations. Let's say you don't put in comments. You can simply remove those, move them back over to the left, taking them off of the report, and then when you come back in here, you can see our comments columns are gone. Also, change date, filter, and sort. Say you're a big pledging church and you want to see people's pledge information right when you come in. You can move pledge over to the right. We're going to move it up in the list by donation date, and I'm going to down here at the bottom check save selections as default. So every time I come in to browse, I have my pledge column available. So if we go back down to Nina, we can see what gifts were non-pledged and what gifts were pledged. So if you're a pledging church, I would say use that pledge column. It's very, very handy. All right, back in here, you also have fonts tab. This is strictly when you go to print your report. Okay, so if you want to customize the font size, come to the fonts tab to do that. Also, you have your report options tab. If you would like to have some type of indicator of what membership category they fall in, whether they're a member or a visitor, you can check this box. Also, if you would like to see who are your donations givers, you can check this box, and then that is going to give you the D indicator when you go to print the report. All right, keep in mind too, whatever information you have pulled up in here, if you hit print donations, that is the information you are going to see on your report. So right now, we have no filter set. And if I hit print donations, we're into September now, it's going to print every gift that has come in. But as you use the change dates, filter, and sort button and put in criteria or limit the people that are going to show up on the report, that report's going to get smaller, okay? So let's go back to Nina here. If I just want to see Nina's giving for this year, I'm going to put her name in, say okay. My browse screen is going to filter everyone else out, just leaving her and her gifts. And then if I hit print donation, it's then going to give me a report of just Nina. And again, if you don't want to see the user and the date posted columns, easy enough. Go back in here to change dates, filter, and sort. Go to your columns tab. remove those fields, say you don't use batch code, we'll dump that one as well. We just want to see these columns, say OK. It rebuilds my screen, and then if I hit print, I'm going to get a report of just that information. Okay, report's also going to give you totaling information down at the bottom.